Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch action genre movie called The Pacifier. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle, I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. A Navy SEALs team is briefed on a planned mission to rescue Dr. Howard Plumer, who has been abducted by a group of Serbian insurgents. They attack the enemies after receiving the order, and Lieutenant Shane Wolf manages to free Howard. When they arrive, he shows a picture of his children and introduces them to him, but he is not excited and asks him to move forward before they can continue their journey. Shane is hurt, and the professor is killed in the counter. Shane recovers from his injuries 2 months later, and his commander, Bill Fawcett, informs him of a new mission. He prepares to gather his team, but Bill stops him, saying it's a top-secret mission and he can't tell anyone about it. While preparing for the mission, Shane recalls Bill informing him that a safety deposit box bearing the professor's name had been discovered in Zoo. As the rest of the team, including the professor's widow, plans to search for the box, he is asked to stay at the professor's house in Bethesda in order to protect his children from the enemy and to look for the secret project The Ghost. Shane arrives and is greeted by the professor's widow, Julie. She introduces her 4 children, Kate, Zoe, Seth, and Peter, and tells them that he will protect them while she is away. Shane is perplexed to see 4 children, but soon realizes they are 5 when the nanny introduces another. Tyler, after discussing the kids with Julie, gets to work and installs the security systems throughout the house. Julie kisses her children goodbye and departs, but not before directing them to obey his orders. She is concerned about leaving the kids alone, but Shane and the nanny assure her that they will be taken care of. In her absence, he returns to work, but one of the kids screams and rushes over to the living room to find everyone going about their daily routine. He becomes enraged by their carelessness and demands that they be disciplined, but they don't seem to care. Late at night, he notices someone outside and apprehends a man named. But before he can ask a question, Zoe emerges from the house, revealing that it is her boyfriend, Scott, a neighboring Korean couple. Mr. and Mrs. Chun become enraged by the buzzing alarms in their home and chastise him for disturbing their peace of mind. But he apologizes and assures them that it will not happen again. Zoe asked him to let Scott into the house, but he instead asked him to do push-ups. She becomes enraged with him because she believes Scott will end their relationship for no reason. He asked her to inform her mother because she was concerned about them, but she disagrees and continues to yell at him for ruining her weekend plans. Shane decides to teach them discipline and train them after noticing that they are not paying attention to his instructions. The next morning, he wakes them up at 6 o'clock and begins instructing them, gathering them around the dining table and forcing them to wear special security. Soon after discovering Seth's absence from the meeting, he furiously breaks his room door to let him out. But he emerges from the bathroom and begins yelling at him for breaking the door. When Zoe and Seth see this, they decide to get rid of him by spilling some oil on the stairs, but poor Nanny becomes a victim. Meanwhile, Shaylee and the teen arrive in Zurich and discover the box, but they fail to provide the password in order to open it. Nanny decides to after falling down the stairs, but he does not want her to leave because he cannot care for the children alone, and he fights with her to keep her from approaching the door. Julie calls him and informs him that she may need to stay for a few more days. He tries his hardest, but she bites him and flees the house, leaving him at the mercy of the children. He informs them of their mother's extended stay, but they immediately begin telling him about their problems. His misery begins when he is forced to care for Tyler while Kate continues to annoy him with her silly question. The next morning, he orders breakfast for the kids, but the meal is ruined when Tyler is scared of Kate's eye-crossing stunt and Peter flips the table upside down. Meanwhile, he receives a phone call from Zoe and Seth's school, asking him to meet with their vice principal. After hearing the call, Shane packs his belongings and drives them all to school in a minivan. He arrives at the school on time and introduces him to the vice principal, Dwayne. He begins chastising the children for missing classes. He continues bragging until he is interrupted by Principal Claire, who sends an outside inspector to inspect the school. She sends the kids to their classes and informs him that Julie has already explained the situation to her. She also allows him to stay at school and look after the kids. As the vice principal teases Seth Shane, he saves him from the bullies, but Dwayne tells him he needs to learn to defend himself, but he refuses to accept his assistance. Claire approaches him and attempts to speak with him, but he receives an emergency alert and rushes away. He follows the signal only to discover that the kids have thrown their wristbands into the underground sewage. He returns to the house in a depressed state and shows the note to the children, but says nothing. This time, because of Claire, Shane returns after taking a shower, but he notices many children at the dining table who begin mocking him. Kate informs him that they will be staying until 8 p.m. every week. He reluctantly agrees to let them stay but requests that they follow his instructions at school. Some boys bully Kate, but he promises to protect her. Shane returns home to find Zoe and her friends partying and orders them to stop. They rush out of the house, but he forces them to clean it and make it as spotless as it was before. He finds a CD with Ghost written on it and hides it in his pocket while making them clean it under his supervision. Zoe argues with him again, pleading with him to leave them alone. But before they can say anything else, the house is attacked, and he orders the kids to lock themselves in a room. He confronts them and forces them to leave the house. After getting rid of them, he returns to the room and informs the children about them, and they rush to him for protection, pleading with him not to abandon them in the face of Seth's questions. He notifies them. They want the CD, but he assures them that he will not give it to them. Kids finally accept him as a member of the family and agree to listen to him. He is summoned once more to the school, where the principal informs him that Seth has dyed his hair and has missed wrestling practice for over a month. Claire informs him that there has been some sort of psychological issue with Seth and Zoe, and she has asked him to speak with them and find out what it is. When he gets home from school, he asks Seth about wrestling, but he says it's not what he wants and that he's only doing it because his father wants him to. Shane goes to Seth's room to talk to him, but he has fled. So, after advising Zoe to take care of the kids, he chases Seth and ends up in a local theater, where he discovers he has been rehearsing for a play, but the director leaves the set after being dissatisfied with their performance. He approaches Seth, who believes he will not understand his passion, but he assures him that he will be his support and will allow him to do whatever he wants. Shane agrees to take charge and direct the musical in response to Seth's concerns about the director. He begins to get closer to the kids, reads bedtime stories to them, and even dances to put Peter to sleep, just like his father used to do. He encourages Zoe to drive the minivan the next day, knowing she has always wanted to. At school, he encourages Seth to confront Dwayne and inform him that he is leaving wrestling to work in a musical play. He becomes enraged with him for abandoning wrestling, but Shane agrees to wrestle with him. The fight begins, but he quickly knocks him down, which proves to be the final step in gaining the kids' trust, and they all begin to pay attention to his instructions. He teaches Zoe to drive, assists Seth with his acting, and trains Kate and her friends, all while caring for. He thanks Peter and addresses him as he dances for him at night. Daddy showing his affection for Shane. Kate and her friends are bullied again, but this time they fight back and knock the boys down using the tactics he taught them. Julie discovers the password Angel, which is written on her ring. They successfully take the box from the officials and discover a two-prong key inside. Shane returns home and approaches Zoe, who is sitting alone in her room. She initially remains silent, but later opens up about missing her father and shares her feelings with him. After some time, he receives a phone call from Julie, who informs him that she will be returning home soon. They are all overwhelmed by the news and begin planning a welcome home party for her, while he observes them finally resuming normal life. On the same day, he discovers an underground vault in the garage and calls his office to inform him that it requires a two-prong key to access. Ya finally returns home, where the kids greet her with a surprise party. Shane leads Bill to the garage, but before they can open the vault, they are attacked, and he recognizes them as Mr. and Mrs. Chung, one of the neighbors. But, to his surprise, Bill also joins them. They imprison the children and Jolie in the house, where Bill reveals that he works for North Korea. They take Yurli with them and open the vault, but due to the specialized security, they are unable to proceed. After some time, the kids free themselves and wake Shane, who asks them to seek assistance from the police while he searches for their mother. Mr. Chung follows them in Bill's car as they leave in the minivan. Shane arrives to assist Julie and discovers that Peter's dance is the key to getting inside, eventually unlocking the lock. After fighting with Bill and Chun, the kids lure the cops to the house after passing outside. However, Mr. Chi arrives and points a gun at them, demanding that they hand over the ghost. Shane diverts his attention by commanding his pet duck Jerry to attack him while Claire subdues him. He thanks her for her assistance, but Kate cuts him off. She expresses her love for him by giving him a photo of his siblings so he will never forget them. They all go to a musical play where the vice principal, Dwayne, also performs. Shane tells Claire about his retirement from the Navy and his new job as a wrestling coach at the school. He compliments Seth on his performance. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.